And we're live.
Welcome, everyone. This is Pine Leaf Needles, and you are listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Andang,
Hey, everybody.
Draculetta,
Greetings, everyone.
and Braxwolf.
Hello, Lotro.
And let's head on in for the news for tonight. And our first bit of news is that update 15.2 is up on Bull Roar. And what's up in the changes, Draculetta?
This can be called the Bjorning patch. There is so much going on with the Bjorning. There's some, I think, good changes, and some things I think people are definitely going to call a nerf. You should definitely go read the full release notes. I didn't put everything in there because it's just the Bjorning section takes up like half of the patch notes. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah,
just a.
I'm really
Oh, go ahead.
glad that they are making this many changes this quickly. It feels about the amount of time they needed to, make sure that these are the changes that they wanted to make. And it feels like a great start to the year with a big update to the Bjorning. And, it's a new class. It needs to be polished, and I'm glad they did it.
And let's face it, Thrash, which is, of course, looks like the strongest of the nerfs in here. I can tell you there have been times where I could almost knock out a skirmish lieutenant with a tier 3 Thrash. That's a
Wow.
little OP.
Yep, that's pretty powerful.
Anything else?
They also are making some changes besides the Bjorning. They are making some changes to the Pelagear Epic Battle. They're kind of looks like they're kind of adjusting that a little bit and doing some little bug fixes. The biggest thing that popped out for me for this, I know after doing the fellowship a couple times, they are increasing the time to earn platinum for the epic foes you guitar and thrashel. So they're giving you a little more time to get platinum because those bosses it's timed for the rewards you get. And at least I know we found out last night, Pine Leaf, those bosses are tough.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you got to be on top of your DPS game to get those guys down fast. So they are giving you a little more time for that. And then the other, I think, big thing in this patch, they did put the music system changes back in again. But there's an interesting little bug on Bullroar right now to where you cannot play ABC files. They do know about it. They say in the next build this will be fixed. So right now, if you want to test out the new music system, you're going to have to play each note individually, which I kind of think maybe might be better because that's going to force people to use the music system a little more, and you're going to be able to hear the notes better because you're going to have to play them manually. So it might be a good thing.
We'll have to see because they do. It will give them an opportunity to hear each note because they at least can do that.
Yes. And then the biggest thing I think that they added is the new roving threats. And direct from the patch notes, it says, as the War of the Ring intensifies, new threats have come to Middle-earth. Powerful servants of the enemy can now be found in Angmar, Forakel, Western Gondor, and the Misty Mountains. For those bold enough to stand against these foes, new and unique rewards can be obtained by claiming the brands they bear.
I wonder if this reminds me of the recent thing that they're adding to DDO.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. It's about the same thing. So yeah, and and they also say that the existing roving threats that are in Central Gondor, they are also going to drop those brands too. So I haven't actually been on beta to check this out, but it sounds like each one of them are going to drop something. You can probably exchange them for rewards, is what it sounds like to me. It is.
Do we know if these are at level for the zone or at cap or?
If it's what was, you remember a while back, they kind of got released a little early and they weren't
Mm-hmm.
ready to be out. The ones in Angmar were actually level 100s, and they
Wow.
were in Angmar. So yeah, so I think they're all level 100s. But like I said, I haven't been on beta to actually try to go find one.
Ferdos
I
from
can
the
just
chat says that they're level 100, so I think he did
Okay. Yep.
confirm that. Yep.
Yep. So yeah,
So,
so how do you keep from running into them accidentally when you're level 50?
you just haul your little butt away from them if you see them.
all right, and back
I
to
can
the Bjorning
imagine.
real quick. I do like that they have an out of combat res. I feel like that's something the class should have had from the beginning, at least in their healing form. And also, it's good that they have some new skills and bees being unlocked early. They made some good changes for the Bjorning, I think.
What was really one of the things I really found strange with the Bjorning was how Rush, you didn't unlock it until level 36, even though you had access to a trait that affected Rush around level 24. It was like,
Yeah, that
what?
was weird.
Now, another thing that I noticed in the update is in the general section that's coming up now is they're finally implementing full screen windowed mode.
Okay, can I ask a serious question about
Yeah.
this? Why would you want full screen windowed mode? Doesn't that defeat the purpose of having window mode?
It doesn't for me. I actually like it a
Well,
lot.
yeah,
Okay.
if you have dual screens,
Yeah, two
it's
monitors.
wonderful.
Well, that would make sense. Okay, I didn't think about a two monitor setup, but that makes total sense then.
Couldn't you just drag the window to be full screen or put it at the
No, it's not
resolution?
quite full screen. That's what
Yeah.
I used to do, and it messed up the aspect ratio going into YouTube, and so that's why I had to now knock it
Okay.
down one step. So now I can go back to full size, which I haven't been able to do in years.
Because I did see a lot of people were excited about this, and I wasn't quite getting the point of why everybody was so excited. But yeah,
Oh
apparently
yeah.
it's a very good thing because a lot of people are excited. So
Well,
Yeah, if this is what I think it is, I'm excited about
it's
it.
kind of standard for games nowadays, so it's kind of nice that they've modernized it in that way, I think.
All right.
and also another thing that a lot of people are excited about is the shallow water dismount bug is supposedly, and I'll use that in quotes, fixed now.
Well, even they almost the way they worded it sounds like they're like, we're hoping this works.
Yeah, they've said it's fixed before. We'll see. We'll see.
That's why I use the invisible air quotes that you couldn't see.
So am I reading this right? It says, oh, okay, they added some reflecting pools too, so that's kind of nice in the Gondor areas.
Yeah, that was a problem where there was only one pool in Gondor, and that was way, way, way at the very beginning of Gondor, near the Paths of the Dead, which made sense back when there were only a couple of instances that were pretty close related to that area. But now that we've got them all over the place,
Yeah.
it's no longer feasible. Having it's way out of the way, so adding another one in a better area is good.
All right.
All right, anything else? Then that is actually the only significant news from Turbine this week. So let's go into our store sales. Drac, what's on sale this week?
Free sample of the week is the Essence Reclamation Scroll. You get one of those if you use the coupon code CLAIM3. Once again, that coupon code is CLAIM3. And you get one scroll per account. So make sure you use it on the character of your choice. 25% off. Virtues, Virtue Bundles, Trait Slots, and the Skill and Slayer Deed Boost. Also, the Determine Your Discount sale is back, which I know a lot of people wait to buy stuff when this is around. So now's your chance. If you spend 1,000 Turbine points in the store, you can get 10% off. Spend 2,000, you get 20% off, and of course, spend 3,000 and get 30% off. And there is a coupon code for those. It's CT1510, 20 or 30, depending on how much you're spending, and you can use those codes 10 times per account.
Does anyone actually use their limit?
You might be surprised. I bet there's somebody that probably would.
All right then.
10 uses per account, though, on spending 3,000 turbine points.
Well, if you've banked up all your turbine points and you're waiting for this or you're waiting for something to go on sale, you could, in theory, have a ton of turbine points to spend on stuff.
That's true, I
Or
guess.
if you're full premium and you've been buying turbine points to buy quest packs or whatever.
Yeah, but the quest
know.
packs, you just put the entire bundle into your cart once and buy them in one purchase. Right?
I mean, unless you're sharing
Or
an
am I
account
completely wrong in
with,
how that
like...
works?
No, yeah, the quest packs are that way. But yeah, like Andang said, maybe you have a couple people on your account that play, like you share your account with your family and you all pool your money together to buy turbine points to buy stuff.
But I mean, the thing is, it's not exactly 3,000 turbine points. It's 3,000 plus, wouldn't you think? So
Right. Well, yeah.
why the limit of 10? That makes no sense why they would specify that, but okay. Sure.
I think there has to be some limit on there, so they decided to put a limit that no one is likely to hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great deal, but it just makes no sense why it's there. Anyway.
And that is it for the store sales.
All right, then let's go into the poll of the weekend. What is your favorite part of the producer's letter? And what does our fan base say is their favorite part?
Well, Pineleaf, our fan base says new instances. Go figure. With
they've been waiting for that for a long time.
That's right, with 27% of the vote, new instances, and surprisingly, with 19% of the vote, the second answer, server upgrades and closing. So this kind of surprised me. I knew a lot of people were looking forward to it, but it is kind of surprising. And then third is episodic content. I expected this to be higher. What were you going to say, Pineleaf?
Concerning the server upgrades closings, could one of the things be that this includes the bit where the European servers are moving back to Europe and therefore hopefully cutting down their lag?
It's possible. I mean, it is server upgrades and closings. And I was including that, but I mean, that's still kind of surprising that episodic content isn't higher. But it is close behind at 16%. And then legendary item changes only at 11%. That also kind of surprised me because I know people are excited for that, but I feel like that because it's taken so long for this to get out, that maybe people aren't as excited as they used to be. Nothing really stood out with 10% of the vote. And then everything below this list is less than standing out, according to our audience.
Okay, the PvP map being less than nothing standing out was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, quality of life improvements, that's very vague, so I'm not surprised that that's not up there. And only 3% of the vote, 6 votes, said no level cap increase in 2015 is what they're looking forward to most, which isn't surprising because there's other cool things on the list. People who actually like the level cap increase or not might be more. It's just, you know, there's other answers on this. And we will probably have a level cap increase poll later. But that's what people's favorite part of the producer's letter were. I'm not at all surprised that instances were at the top. I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for that.
All right, then. Let's go into a giveaway by MMO Games, who's giving out a LOTRO starter pack. And what is this all about? Ooh, how about Brax?
Actually, he might be having connection issues.
Oh,
so...
you're right. Okay, and
yeah, so Zinger wrote up a post saying that MMO Games is currently having a free LOTRO starter pack in a giveaway. And the duration of the giveaway is dependent on how many keys are available. So go ahead and enter in as quick as you can. There's a link in this article, which will be linked in our show notes. And basically, by logging into your MMO Games account, which you do have to have an account, you're able to redeem a code that is applied to your account. And so then you can go and apply it to your account, your actual Turbine account. And the pack includes a Chestnut Steed, 100% experience boost, universal healing potions, exclusive cosmetic armor, and skill and slayer steed boosts times 1. So to me, that's not that great of stuff, but it's free, so you might as well, enter in and see if you can get it.
The the steed also comes with a riding skill.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does. Thanks for mentioning that. So there you go. That's the
And
giveaway that's
at
going on
least
right
it's
now.
not the blonde sorrel.
Yep.
All right, now it sounds like that Ending is looking for another co-host for this show.
That's right, Pineleaf. You're on the out and out. No, not really. As many of you know who listened to last week's show, Atharos and Sithrith have gone on to Guild Wars Players. And Drac stayed behind. He's our anchor. He's with us at all times apparently. But Sithrith
our
and Atharos, I don't know. I was talking about a ship, but anyway, moving on.
More like that bad penny you can't get rid of.
No, especially when you consider that the word anchor would more likely apply to me.
Well, if you're using that form of the word, yeah, but I was talking more about a ship. But anyway,
Okay.
moving on.
You ruined the analogy, Pine Leaf.
He
Come
drags
Yes.
us down to the bottom of the sea.
Really moving on now. Thanks, Brax. So basically, Atharos and Sithrith did say it's their last show last week. They left on great terms with the show. Everything's good. They just felt like that they were not as interested in LOTRO as they used to be, and so they decided to move on. But they're welcome back anytime they want to. That being said, though, I feel like that we had a good dynamic with a full fellowship of people, full LOTRO fellowship, not Tolkien fellowship. I know that confuses some people, but I think that we'd be better with 6 hosts, and so we already have one host that has agreed to do it, but we're looking to our audience for our 6th member. And so all you need to do basically is record yourself for 2 to 10 minutes talking about LOTRO news or a topic that you like in LOTRO, and just show us your kind of personality, how you'd be covering it on the show, and feel free to get excited and really get into it, and just send an email once you got the recording done to podcast@lotroplayers.com with the recording and a little bit about yourself, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, but if they're trying to replace Ethros, wouldn't it sounding exciting not be in the works?
Well, this is true, Pineleaf, but I'd say that that's still personality, and
Okay.
so
I
even
think
though
it's
it might.
fair,
Go ahead, Brax.
isn't it fair? It's fair to warn people up front, though, that there are some things that go along with being a host on this show. One of them is that you're not eligible for prizes from Players Alliance.
That's right.
And the other thing is that when it comes to LOTRO Player Council, I think that's still kind of I don't know if it's completely been. I think last time around they said you can't be a member of a fan site or something like that.
Yeah, they did clarify fan site as well, which was nice because I know back with CSTM there was a big issue with that, but yeah.
Yeah,
So
just eyes wide open, full disclosure.
hmm
Right.
But still good opportunity. If you want to be a co-host on the show, feel free to go ahead and send that email with your recording to podcast@lotroplayers.com. And if the file size is too big, because emails have pretty small file size limits, we'll work out a way. Just send an email saying that that's the case, and we'll figure out how to get the file into our hands. But I would like to say thanks to everyone who supported LOTRO Players News in the last year, and we look forward to see how these new hosts and other changes that may be coming will help grow the show in 2015. We're really excited and can't wait for another year of LOTRO.
All right, then. Then we have another installment of The Family Line by the grace of the Aberdeen by Tim Hedden, and I have finally caught up. So this was another wonderful entry to it. Obviously, I can't talk too much about it since we don't want to give anything away, but I highly recommend this series, and it took me a long time to get into wanting to read some of the fan fiction here, and I kept with it all the way through, and I'll be staying with it. So this is good, and this is a real keeper, in my opinion. You have any opinions, Ending?
It's awesome. I can't believe it's still going. I really can't.
Well,
Um,
after a couple of weeks ago.
yeah, I know. We thought it was over, but it's not. And that probably got Pineleaf and maybe some others to read it as well. But I really do enjoy it, and I'm still surprised that that there's not more roleplay going on in the later parts of LOTRO, and it's great to see someone take on Rohan and show the roleplay there. So I really enjoy the series. Keep it going.
All right, very well. Then let's go into the video highlights, and it looks like your little video highlight series is a year old. Is that true?
My little video highlight series. I don't see you with a video highlight series, Pineleaf. No, seriously though, we did reach 1 year. I can't believe that there are this many great LOTRO videos out there. I started this series with like 20 or 25 or some small number of videos planned, and I've found more and more to the point where now I have at least another 10 months of this series based on articles I already have scheduled with links in them. So there's a lot of great LOTRO videos out there, and each one is, for the most part, very different from the others. And I am always amazed at just how many high-quality LOTRO videos there actually are out there. And this series has done a lot to help keep me involved in LOTRO and keep me excited about LOTRO, because I'm seeing things that other people are doing, or seeing the excitement that other people have for the game and what they were creating because of that excitement. And so I've really enjoyed this series, and I feel like that it might be I'm not for sure, but I might have not been playing LOTRO anymore without this series, so I really have enjoyed it. And in the article that happened this week, I did sum up the whole year, and also had a table with the year that the videos I featured were released and the number of videos they had. And 2012 had the most. And looking ahead at some of the others, 2012 I think will still have the most a year from now when I finish up this series. So for high quality LOTRO fan videos, 2012 seemed to be a really good year, and that makes sense. That was leading into Riders of Rohan, and there are a lot of good things going on in the game at the time. So anyway, I do finish off the article with a top 15 list of the videos I've gone through so far. And the only real reason that I made a top 15 list in this article is because I'm planning to do a top 25 list in the next year once I finish up again, because I'll probably be done with the series at that point. And so I didn't want to spend all that time then, because it took me a ton of time to decide just these 15, which ones were, how to order them and all that stuff, and to weed it down from 51. I easily spend at least 20 hours on trying to figure out what order they were supposed to be in, which is kind of embarrassing, the amount of time that it took. But it was worth it, and it was a lot of fun to look back on a year of articles.
All right, then we'll go into our major series in episode 46 of LOTRO Players Adventures. And I'm trying to figure out why it's called Pine Venom's Return, considering that was the week where I was at Mythmoot.
That's right, Pineleaf, but we still came up with a Pineleaf-related title, because just because you don't show up, Pineleaf, doesn't mean we're not going to have a non-Pineleaf title. So, yes, I'm not going to spoil it, actually. I'm not going to spoil the title this week. You weren't there, so, you are going to have to watch it, Pineleaf, to find out why it's called Pine Venom's Return. But
right,
once you see it, it might not still make sense. But if you're a fan of Fellowship of the Creeps, it will probably make sense. And we do kind of explain it in the video. So, there you go. We had a lot of fun going through the final 2 Isengard instances successfully,
And a
and
lot of fun
so
because I wasn't there.
no, finally a lot of fun because we actually did it successfully for once.
Because I wasn't there. Yes.
So anyway, if you're interested, I recommend checking out this week's of Adventures.
All right. Very well. Okay, Brax, is your connection fine now?
I'm gonna try. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
So,
right, let's
what
see.
Lotro's little secrets?
Yeah, this is a little bit different direction this week. I found a blog called Just Lee, justlee.blogspot.co.uk, and this is a post called Lotro's Little Secrets: The Beauty of Middle Earth, Entry 1. And what she's done is she's taken or he or she, I guess I shouldn't assume here. Character's a female anyway. Taken a screenshot, like a panoramic screenshot, posted on the blog post, and then done a couple little paragraphs about the area. This specific post is about Nan Umlog in the North Downs, and so there's a little bit of poetic language here, a nice screenshot, and a little bit of history as well, Middle Earth history that goes along with the screenshot. And I just thought it was kind of a cool idea, and the screenshot's beautiful. So go check out Just Lee, and hopefully I'm going to keep an eye on this and see what other types of entries she puts in here, he or she.
All right, very well. Then let's head into news beyond Lotro, and we're working on to another lore article, including a new series on the Kings of Gondor, Part 1. And of course, when you begin with the Kings of Gondor, you begin at the very beginning of Gondor. So I don't know if this means that they're going to have an article on every single king, or maybe an article on each of the major kings, and some of the lesser ones in the middle they might just tie together, like the ship kings they might do into one or something like that.
I don't know, but this is a great way to go through Gondor's history, I think. Talking about the specific kings, it does put a little bit more focus on them, and I think that they're very important throughout Tolkien's Middle-earth, and so I highly recommend this series. If you've never heard about the Kings of Gondor, this is a great place to start.
All right, very well then. Then let us head into a new part of our show where we will be having a little debate concerning various items within the Lord of the Rings. And in this case, Draculetta, you will be our moderator. So what are we going to be talking about?
Well, first of all, do you want to kind of explain?
Yeah, let me go ahead and explain this since I kind of sort of came up with it. So basically, I was thinking, what new segment do we want to have now that the question of the week's not around, and also just thinking in general about new segments for the show as I do from time to time, and this came up and I thought it was a pretty good idea, so we're going to try out this week and definitely be doing it next week when we will hopefully be having the Tolkien professor Dr. Corey Olson on along with Trish Lambert. So hopefully we'll iron out the kinks and it'll be great next week for sure, but we'll see how it goes tonight. So basically what we're going to do is debate which adaptation of a specific area or a specific part of Tolkien's lore, a specific character, or even idea is our favorite. And this will be from the books, which are not an adaptation, unless there's a book that's adapting Tolkien's world that you're wanting to be picking. But the books is kind of, the core answer that is probably the pine leaf answer every week. And then we have the films, which include, Jackson's films as well as some of the animated films that have taken place over the years. And we also have the games, including LOTRO and some of the other Tolkien games that have happened. And, if we ever decide to add in artwork or something like that later on, then that might be a category as well. But those are kind of the three main ones we have right now. And so basically, each of us will be picking a part that we want to argue for, and because Drac decided that he doesn't know things well enough to pick one.
No, I said I am Switzerland, and I am neutral on all areas.
Brandhild says, "Does this require homework?" For some of us, it did require homework. um, and basically, Drac will be deciding which side will be best based on our arguments, not based on his opinions per se. And so let's go ahead and go into it. First off, though, I think everyone should start off by mentioning which argument they are taking. So, Pineleaf.
All right, I will be taking the argument on Tolkien's own works, the books.
All right, like I said, Pineleaf's going to be taking the book answer. I will be arguing for the films, and Brax.
Yeah, I'm going to be arguing for the game itself, Lord of the Rings Online.
There you go. All right, so Drac.
Oh, you weren't arguing for the Shadow of Mordor?
The Shire and the Shadow of Mordor is pretty non-existent, so I...
Well, yes.
And so, yeah, Drac, if you want to mention the topic question at the top, and then continue on by asking someone to start us off.
Sure. The topic this week is going to be which adaptation of the Shire is your favorite? So let's start with Brax, because he said the game. So why do you think LOTRO is the best adaptation of the Shire?
I just think it's the most immersive. The books and the movies are fine, but I never really felt like I was actually walking around the Shire and participating in hobbity events or anything like that by those other adaptations. I really felt immersed in the Shire when I got into Lord of the Rings Online. Just the amount of sheer landscape that's there makes it feel like an actual large place. You know, I feel like the films do a nice job with the visualization, but it kind of feels like it's a tiny little area that they just shot from a bunch of different camera angles. It's just that little area of Hobbiton right there around the party tree. And then they did some interior shots in some of the hobbit holes and the pubs and stuff. So I think that, for one thing, I think the game is probably more true to the books, which it usually is. But I also think it gives you that feeling of immersion. It also gives you a feeling of where the Shire actually fits in Middle-earth. I think even reading the books, with all the description that is about the setting in the books, it kind of feels like a detached place. It feels like it's kind of off on its own. I had a hard time visualizing where it was in the area of Middle-earth. When you take that road from the Shire to Bree, you really feel that gradual change from the Shire into Breeland, and it just feels like it's a part of the world and you know where it belongs. And the last thing I really liked about the game adaptation was that they put some dangers in there that you got to fight. There's some spiders in there, there's some wolves in there, and it kind of it signifies how the evil is starting to kind of creep into the Shire, even though it's been isolated all this time from all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and Dang, how about you? And you said the film, so why is that?
I did, and Brax, real quick, for someone who said that they'd be terrible at this, that was a fantastic argument, okay?
Homework, man.
All right, so I do believe that the films do a pretty good job showing the Shire. They show the Shire that everyone envisions in their minds. When you think about the Shire, you're thinking about Hobbiton, you're thinking about the places in the films, and I think that the Shire also does a good job of keeping pure. Aside from a few envisions that Sam has of the possible future in the Shire, nothing happens to it. It stays that nice place that you can go to and be safe and ensured to be safe. And while yes, there is Rivendell and Lothlorien that kind of fit that, they're much more in the danger zone, especially in the films. And so I feel like that the Shire is that place that is safe and stays safe, and so that's kind of my argument. Also, real quick, have you looked at the Hobbit holes in LOTRO? The fronts of some of those are really ugly looking. Just saying. The Shire needs a revamp. The graphics are getting a little old.
Okay, Brax, do you have a rebuttal to that?
No, I don't. I was taken off guard there.
Okay, Pine Leaf, do you have Pinepedia ready?
Do I have Pinepedia ready? Probably not. Let's see.
Tell me
We'll,
why the books are the best.
we'll tell you why the books are all right. Now, when whenever I think of the Shire, it is what is in the books that give the strongest echo in my mind. Now, I'm just not meaning the words in it, but also the illustrations. J.R.R. Tolkien has a painting of the hill that he had done himself. And the reason why the first time I saw Hobbit in this game from a distance, it caught my breath is because it was at the exact same angle and feel of the picture in the book. So it's because it echoed that in it is the reason why it was struck with me. Now, most other times, though, I'm so busy doing quests or I'm so busy listening to music or doing something other activity there that I'm not paying attention to what's around me. So therefore, inside the game, I'm usually having some distraction that pulls me out of the immersiveness that may be going on in there because I'm not necessarily doing RP while in the game or something like that. As for the movies, there is just so little that you see. You don't see much of the Shire. Let's face it, because Peter Jackson couldn't afford to make an entire the entire Shire. You don't make Hobbiton and some little woodland areas is all that you can afford. There's only so much you can afford. You don't want to. They've probably already rented out half New Zealand as it was.
There's a good chance of that. I would argue though that the story doesn't really need the Shire to be messed up. I mean, it seems kind of it works for the books. It's nice to have that final little piece of adventure and excitement that you didn't expect to see coming. But in the films, everything was already pretty well resolved, and so I feel like they really didn't need that to happen. So I feel like that the Shire stayed pure, and it still stayed pure by the end of the film. So
Well, a little. When you understand that tragedy, to demonstrate that when something goes wrong in the world, that no place is safe from the terrors of the world, it does not hit you home unless something actually does happen. So I think it was necessary, at least in Tolkien's end, to have it there and to hit that theme down. Now, of course, when you're talking about a 9-hour movie, there's only so much you could pack into it.
yeah, plus the extra 3 hours of extended for each film. So 12-hour film trilogy. Not to mention all the Hobbit films that take place. So yeah.
And you don't get. And also in the game, the other thing is that by necessity, you have to scale things down a little bit. When we have our fellowship walk, we can get through the Shire pretty quickly.
That's right, Pineleaf.
Even in walking mode. Well, even though it would have taken Sam, Frodo, Merry, Sam and Frodo at least, took 2 days in order to get through the Shire.
Yeah, and the films mention how many miles it is to Buckleberry Ferry, so they got that down. At least for the Shire. They don't have scale down for the rest of Middle-earth, but for the Shire, they understand the scale and relativeness of how big it is.
I would like to add one thing that I forgot, though, and this is probably going to be common throughout any of these topics that talk about a setting piece. The music in the game, in the Shire, really contributes to the immersiveness. I think they really got that right, especially, when you first cross over that bridge for the first time to get there, and that music hits you, that hobbity music is just perfect.
Yeah, but would you rather have the music of the Shire from the games or the music of the Shire from the movies? For me personally, it's the films.
That's a fair point. I think they're both very good, but I'm not going to vote against Chance Thomas either.
Well, that's true too.
Well, there is that.
I think they're both good. I mean, Howard Shore, I don't think I'd want to vote against either of them, to be honest.
Yeah. Too bad, since I'm usually recording stuff, I have my music turned off.
That's right. Pineleaf doesn't even care about the music in the games, so I feel like his argument's disqualified from. Okay, so I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Well, that's why. maybe that's why I like the books better, is because I don't have to use it.
All right, Drac, any other things that you want us to hear argue, or do you think that you're at a decision point?
I think I'm at a decision point.
All right.
You all gave very solid arguments. I commend you all for that. It's I'm having a hard time. It's between Brax and Pineleaf, actually.
What?
Your argument about the films is invalid. They just
What?
the
All right.
films are gone. So strike the films from this record.
I want another judge. This is.
I think I'm gonna give it to Brax though,
Oh, first one.
because
Ding, ding, ding.
I think he was a little more passionate about his argument, and I really like the fact that he said it actually felt like he was walking in the Shire. And I think that's what won me over. So I think I'm going to go with Brax.
We could have the chat room vote too.
Yep, and that's actually something I wanted to mention. Let us know in the comments of the show, or in the live chat here, who you think won, and we'll feature some of those comments next week. And I think that the main goal of this show, or this new segment, is not to have a winner or anything like that per se. And I wish that I would have been a little bit higher up in the rankings, so that this wouldn't sound like I'm just bitter.
All I'm saying is good luck to you all next week.
But
I had to get one in before our next guest comes on the show. Let's just put it that way.
you really did. But I feel like that it's not so much about that totally threw me off. Anyway, I feel like it's not so much about our particular arguments or anything like that, but I think it's that we're having the argument, and I think that it's cool that we can debate these kind of things, and I feel like that it really allows us to talk about earlier places in LOTRO. It helps us talk about different places in the lore, and so I'm really excited to see where this segment goes. But let us know as well if you like the new segment.
Very well then. With that, we will then head into donations. Let's have a big thanks to Brittany for supporting the Players Alliance on Patreon. If you would also like to help LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you could support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even a guest spot on the episode of LOTRO Players News or Adventures. As for feedback, we did not receive any reviews from iTunes, but we do have a featured comment from Barnabas, who left a comment on The Kings of Gondor Part 1. I never understood the 9 ships. How could you have a kingdom with only 9 ships worth of people? Now there were people, some already settled in Middle-earth, but it would seem there would be a large share of king's men as well. See Umbar. Yes, I don't know how many people would fit onto each of the ships, but there were, of course, the native people of Gondor. If you notice, most of the Gondorians, I get the impression, are descendants of the original people from that area and not from the Númenóreans.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
So that's the impression I get, because you have probably some mixed blood in there, but you have the Dunedain, then who are descendant from the nobles of Númenor. I don't know whether the people who are descendants of the people in the 9 ships that weren't the nobles are also considered Dunedain or not. We need, you know what we need? We need a professor of Tolkienian lore to answer that question.
Well, luckily, Pineleaf, there's a good chance next week we will be having a professor of Tolkienian lore, the Tolkien professor, a.k.a. Dr. Corey Olson, and his sidekick, Trish Lambert, so that should be a lot of fun next week.
Ooh, don't tell Trish she's the sidekick.
Oh, I've told her before, don't. She's off
Why,
somewhere
you don't
laughing right
decide?
now, so she's off somewhere laughing, I'm sure, but anyway.
All right. We did not receive any emails, but if you'd like to send us one, you could send it to podcast@lotraplayers.com. You could also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, Lotro Players @LotroPlayers, Andang @PVMP_Andang, Braxwolf @Braxwolf, Draculetta @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every week at 8:30 p.m. United States Eastern Time. On Mondays, we have DDO Players News. Thursdays, we have Guild Wars Players News. And Saturdays, we have Lotro Players News. And Eastern Standard Time is the same thing as server time. And you can join us for our live shows at lotroplayers.com/live. That is all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.